yesterday was my 5-month anniversary. I've lost 51 pounds. I feel fantastic. I've got to go buy more clothes because I can't fit into the clothes that I have is literally falling off my body. I feel like this is a step toward that I am doing something for myself now.
Hey, Larry, thanks so much for coming to spend time with me again. It's good to see
Again.
you.
Well, likewise, good to see you too.
You look different, Larry.
Well, I hope it's good.
Very good. Talk to me. What's going on?
Well, picking up where we left off on our last from our last meeting, all the things that I talked about originally about feeling energized, about I basically have lost all achiness in my joints. I think I mentioned to you that a couple of friends had noticed one time when I got up from a chair that I got up with swiftness as opposed to the normal slow down, get stretched out and get going. I've always been pretty agile and um, I'm pretty smooth in my motions. I think I told you before, I used to be a competitive bike racer, and so naturally I have lots of agility and swift movement in my body. I've managed to retain some of that. Um, and Probably if we look at, those are some of the physical things, but the things that maybe are sometimes difficult to to note on the QWE is the strong sense of well-being, that I thought came early. And it's almost like things were getting put back together in a proper fashion, and you start feeling good. Okay, how do you describe that? I don't know how to describe it other than you feel good. Now everybody will have a different definition of feeling good. For me, it's just being alert, awake, agile, you know, a deep sense of focus, which I've always had a very good focus, but it's gotten better and more acute. And But then there's also some other physical things. We were on the volunteer call a few months ago, and I had some shorts on, and they were talking. And, sometimes my attention stays on the call, sometimes it wanders. Well, my attention wandered down to my knee. Well, I have a pretty severe chainsaw cut on my knee. Okay. It happened one time when I was doing something I shouldn't have done, and I knew I shouldn't have done it. And this chainsaw just kicked back and hit my leg. It was just it hit my leg and bounced. I had some Holy jeans. They were my favorite Holy jeans. And next thing I know is that the jeans are turning red with blood. So I went to the emergency room, and I got 15 stitches. It could have been a lot worse, but I got 15 stitches. But let's just say that a chainsaw is not known for making surgically precise cuts. Okay. It was a pretty ragged cut. And there were multiple cuts because as the different blades come by, they make different cuts. And so I had a series of cuts. And obviously, if you've ever seen when people get stitches, sometimes the skin kind of puckers up a little bit. And when it heals, that pucker stays there. Well, I had several of those, and I mean, it wasn't pretty. Okay, I didn't have the most gorgeous legs for shorts, although they were nice looking because of cycling. But nonetheless, that was not a pretty area of my leg. And I was looking down when I don't know who was talking, and I started feeling the area of the incision, and lo and behold, it's gotten smooth. It's smoothed out to where it is flush with all the rest of my skin. And then I started looking closer, and I could see that much of the cut was starting to fade. Oh, I mean, you can still tell that there was a cut there, but it looks like it was more of a bad scrape from some thorns rather than a gnarly chainsaw blade that came across my leg. And so I said, okay, how do I explain that? I mean, there's nothing, I mean, this happened probably 15 years ago. How do you explain that that has all of a sudden in the last 6 months or so started to diminish? I only have one thing to say. It was this little deal right here. Whoops, it's over here in this pocket. It's this little deal. It's this little deal right here. It's got to be the only thing. I mean, there's nothing significant has changed. I wouldn't say that my diet had anything to do with it, but that was a segue I gave myself into the next big thing. You said, what's going on? Um, I have felt um, that I needed to do something about my weight. I think I mentioned to you once before that I attended your very first WOW meeting, but
Mhm.
quite honestly, it was discouraging for me. I just knew that it wasn't something that I could really buy in and get. Not that I'm behind the concept. I personally couldn't be there to do what I think it needed to do, but I still thought about it. And I remember when you and I had our last meeting, you mentioned something to me about how you thought my cholesterol was so low, was too low. So all these things started, kind of working in my brain. And I said, okay, I've got to grab hold of my health a little bit better. And I'm 67 years old, so I still have time to do some of this stuff. And so I said, I've got to do something. So I went to my doctor. I just happened to have some blood work coming up about that time. And I said to him, I said, look, I've got to lose some weight. I have to. I was tipping the scales at 234 pounds, and I'm 5'8", and that's just too much weight. And so he obviously resorted to using, medication, and he wanted to prescribe for me a I think a generic form of what's being advertised as Ozempic.
Mhm.
Well, I went and did some research, and I just wasn't comfortable with what the research that I found. Although in some cases it was effective, there was an equal number of cases where people had adverse effects, particularly, in their stomach, feeling bad, and things like that. So again, I said, this is not good. I got to do something else. And I stumbled across a YouTube doctor that I like to listen to. He's very pragmatic. I think he's very intelligent, and his name is Dr. Ken D. Barry.
Oh, yeah,
And
yes.
okay, and he is a huge proponent of carnivore. He himself has been on carnivore for 6 years, and so I started digging into the whole concept of carnivore. Well, I'm a Texan. I grew up on a cattle ranch. I love beef. Okay. So, you're singing my tune when you're saying you can eat beef. And as the more I studied it, I said, whoa, this is a diet that you basically eat as much as you want until you're full. And then when you're full, you're not hungry again for some time. In fact, as I got more and more into it, I basically eat once a day, and I'll eat 15, 16 ounces of beef, and I don't eat again for another 24 hours. And I feel perfectly fine. I don't have any loss of energy. I don't have any loss of sleep. We could go into to the other details that nobody wants to talk about, but everything else is regular. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. And and I have a family where we have a lot of doctors, and they absolutely thought I was insane for doing this, that I was eating an imbalanced diet, and that they didn't think this was healthy for me to do. I mean, they were very outspoken about how they were against this. And I said, well, I appreciate what you're saying and I recognize it, but I'm going to go about this because it resonates with me. I feel strongly about it. I feel totally fine. And if at any point in time I feel adverse effects, I'll bail and I'll take another course. Well, yesterday was my 5 month anniversary. I've lost 51 pounds. I feel fantastic. I've got to go buy more clothes because I can't fit into the clothes. I mean, the clothes that I have is literally falling off my body, and my energy hasn't ceased. Um, so I've been to my doctor for my lab checkups once at about the 3.5 month mark. And one of the other issues is that I was pre-diabetic, and my A1C was like at 6.1. And so after having been on this diet, and I had blood work, it had dropped to 5.0. And my cholesterol has been low. They expected it was going to be high because of all the meat and eggs and bacon that I eat, but it wasn't. It was still what you would probably consider low. I was still in the low 100s, like 110, 115. And so what my cardiologist, see, I saw both my primary care physician and my cardiologist like within a week apart from each other. Hold on, excuse me a second. And I told my cardiologist that I want off my medication. I have cholesterol medication, I have a beta blocker, and I have one other one. And I said, I want off my medicine. I do not want to be on medicine. I want to have natural health. And he told me, he said, if you give me one more blood lab report that looks like this or better, and I'm going to take you off everything. And so that is certainly worthwhile. That review is coming up, I think, in the next 30 days. So he looked at me and he talked about the diet. He goes, man, you must have a tremendous strength of mind to be able to sustain a diet like that. And I said, I can also tell you I've had zero cheat days. I just don't cheat. If I want the results that I'm going to get, I've got to be true, to this program. And he goes, well, that's just fantastic. Well, why do I have the strength of mind? I have the strength of mind because I have a strong well-being, okay, that we talked about earlier. Combined with the extra strength that I believe that this device provides for me, I've been able to sustain this. Now it's become a way of life. And now I'm thinking, because I'm about 10 to 12 pounds from my target weight. And so it's time to start thinking about, what am I going to do after I get there? I mean, am I going to stay strictly carnivore? I'd say I'll probably remain 90% carnivore, but I will leave room for special occasions. If we go to a wedding, or if we, like, for example, my daughter got married during this time, and I went to the wedding. I didn't have any cake and I didn't have any champagne. Okay. Because I was going to be true to this. So there've been several occasions where I went, but I didn't partake because I just couldn't do it and feel good about this. In other words, I didn't want to look back and say, well, I didn't hit my goal because I did this, this, and this. Okay. If I didn't hit my goal, it's because my body wouldn't do it. Okay. It wasn't going to be because I failed it. And so here we are. And the loss of weight is probably, significant, huge, but it has a lot to do with all the things we talked about at the beginning. All that built up to be able to be in a position to embark upon this journey of weight loss, and I believe taking my health to the next level. There you go.
That's awesome. And what you said about that well-being, having that strength of mind is so important, because then you can do anything. It's like you're limitless, right? Having that
Right.
belief and that love for yourself. Like, I love how you said that, you're 67, you still have time to fix this. So that's awesome, Larry. And now I'm serious, just by losing that 50 pounds. I have a friend from yoga who I saw her the other day. I'm like, have you lost weight? I don't like to say that to people, because I don't want them to think I realized, that I'm checking them out. But she's like, yeah, I've lost like 50 pounds. And she goes, I had to because my heart was messed up. She was having heart problems and her blood pressure was really high. And no medication. She just lost 50 pounds and everything is fine now.
That's awesome. Believe me, I know it was quite an undertaking. And you know, the other day I was, I think it was last week's volunteer call. My wife was having a party. One of our other daughters is going to have a child, and they had a grandma shower, and they were having it at our house. So I was relegated to go to the bedroom, and so I was participating in the call, you know, sitting in the bedroom. And I got uncomfortable sitting with my legs over the bed, and so here I am. I emphasize again, I'm 67 years old, but I sat for that hour plus the meditation afterwards with my legs crossed in a yoga position. Now, I mean, I'm telling you, I think that um, that was when I got through. I said, "Wait a minute, what am I doing sitting like this? I haven't sat like this in years." Well, I didn't ache. I didn't even know I was there. It was just the most comfortable way to sit. But I was sitting there totally cross-legged, participating in the call. How do you
That's
explain it? Um, how about this? That's the best explanation I have.
awesome. Well, you rock, Larry. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Well, it's likewise, Tracy. Your voice goes back a long ways with me, and it's always good to talk to you.
Well, thank you. And now we're looking forward. Now we are coming into the season that we're going to have a do-over, and you're going to have a 30-year-old body essentially. What are you going to do with that?
Well, I'm going to get. I mean, you asked me that question once before, and I thought about it for about a couple of weeks after you asked it. But I do a lot of things that I would do when I was 30. In fact, I was driving. We have a family cattle ranch, and so now that I've lost so much weight, I'm a lot. I mean, I'm more willing to go and do stuff, and so I feel that I'm going to get a little bit more active in that area. Probably get back on my horses a lot more. And I want to get back on my bike too. I long for my bike. I know it's a dangerous thing to do. I see a lot of these around here in this part of Texas. When somebody has been killed in a bike accident, they'll I guess his friends will buy an old bike, they'll paint it white, and they'll set it up as a memorial for where that person was killed. And I see a lot of those around here. And I personally, in all the years of cycling, I've had some run-ins with cars. They didn't hit me, but they were very close to hitting me. In some cases, I had to call the law because of their recklessness. But I really do miss my bike, and I don't know. I may find myself getting back on it again. You know, with the new world we'll be living in, I expect to be blessing a lot of people, and I can't wait. In fact, I was talking to a friend who I intend to include in our future plans about a project that I think that would be beneficial for us down here. And he said, "I'm like I said, I'm all in." I said, "Well, you didn't have any choice. You were already in." But I
That's
really can't wait to get started. I'm ready to redirect my life with this new energy. I need to do things that are more meaningful for mankind. And I think there's no I think about it. I'm definitely engineered for that. Um, and I'm capable of staying in the background, but I can still be the energy behind some of these things.
awesome. Yeah, hopefully Godspeed, man. We need to bring that here now. Like,
Yeah,
let's
amen.
go.
Amen.
Let's
Um,
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the other side of your do-over and, having you back for a third round of time with you to see what the 30-year-old Larry looks like.
well, I can't wait. Well, I want to say one other thing.
Yeah.
I remember several people saying to me, or I mean, not saying to me, but in calls, that if we were going to participate in a QR type device back in the beginning, we used to call it a med bed, but now we call it a QR. That that the whole dynamics of it was well. And let me just back up. I'm going at this differently. People were asking, if I go into this, can I lose weight? Will I be able to get back to my target weight? And a response that I heard was that, well, it's not going to be as effective unless you're doing something for yourself, that you need to personally be improving before the QARC or whatever we called our device at the time could work for you. And so to some degree, I feel like this is a step toward that I am doing something for myself now so that at the time that I get to have my QARC appointment, I will have already advanced one of the things that I have wanted from my QARC experience has always been to lose weight, to be back to my typical fighting weight. And so I don't know, I think that this is all part of that, and I think I'm fulfilling that.
That's awesome. It's like a cause set in motion, right? So you kicked it off. You started that snowball going down the hill, and that's with your weight loss. And so you're able to take that momentum and go into the QARC and end up where you ideally want to be. And I just want to suggest mountain biking is really fun. No
Well,
cars.
and mountain biking might be better because I stay off the road, even though I love the road bike because I love speed. And but yeah, the bike I have a bike. It's a cyclocross bike, and it can kind of go both ways. But will probably end up back on a mountain bike. You're exactly right.
Yeah, just like it's safer. My husband used to road bike, but he hasn't been on that for a long time.
Yeah.
Only on the mountain now. I don't know how many mountains you have in Texas, but
Well, we don't have them down here in South Texas, but we've got a lot of long dirt roads.
cool. Awesome. Well, my friend, thank you so much for coming to spend time with me. What would you like to say in closing?
Well, I want to encourage everybody to think in terms of all that you can be, to think in terms of what you want from yourself. Surely every one of us has, I'll use the word dream, but you have some deep desires of what you want, and believe that you can accomplish that and believe that you can do it. I'm living proof. I fought it. I felt like I had literally a ton weight around my legs and I couldn't move forward. But somehow or another, by the grace of God and by the well-being of a device such as this, that really, if you don't dream it, you won't achieve it. And so dream it, do it, make it happen.
Thank you, Larry. Wise words.
So
All right, my friend, we'll have a beautiful day and I'll see you next time.
likewise, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for making this QHS project fly. This valorous admin team, thank you. The Key community welcomes you. Thank you for making your home QHS healthy and happy. Thank you for helping us place QH centers all around the world. Together, hand in hand, we make miracles happen. QuantumHealingSystems.org. Thank you.